Kumar, thank you for coming today. My pleasure.
Thank you, everyone. This is a great facility. I'm very excited to be here. And thank you all. Thanks, Ed and IoT Meetup for giving us the opportunity to present one of the growing latest technologies called process mining or process intelligence. It's a great technology, especially during COVID. It even highlighted how companies are struggling to optimize their business processes and how this technology can help a lot. And what I have is I'm going to show what process intelligence is at a high level, and then I also going to show a brief demo about how we were able to apply process mining for a set of IoT data. So to see how they go hand in hand to be more to give more value to the companies. So having said that, let me know if you all can see my screen, and I'm going to present. Yeah. So I'm going to run a brief 1-minute video just to give you an introduction of what we do at a high level, and then show a presentation of what exactly is process intelligence, and then show a demo. Okay. Feel free to ask any questions during all this time.
Process is something every business needs to revisit time and again and check whether it's giving the best results at any given point in time. With time, every process will develop certain inefficiencies, certain compliance issues that will go unidentified, and needs a review of the existing automation process. VIVE Process Intelligence has developed a new perspective that constantly revisits the entire business process on a timely basis and suggests the optimal changes to your business. VIVE Process Intelligence does the process discovery, map the processes, analyze the root cause, bottlenecks, wastage, compliance issues, deviations from standards, and finally improve the automation. VIVE's Process Intelligence Engine takes the data from any source, converts it to a multidimensional VIVE Process Intelligence cube, and gives the perfect process insights to all the respective stakeholders. A cube that changes the perspective of every business. A cube that applies across the industries. A cube that can better every process. VIVE Process Intelligence for a better business every time.
So that was a brief overview of what we do. Business processes everywhere, and especially with IoT, customer journeys are becoming very critical. Customer journey itself is a process, and how we can apply process intelligence in customer journey and IoT and all I'm going to explain during this brief presentation. So what exactly is process intelligence? Process intelligence is the ability for the company to look into the business process as is transparency, that is data driven. So before process intelligence, companies have been making attempts to look at how does my supply chain looks like, especially 3M in case they be looking at N95 masks. How can I address these kind of scenarios, be more proactive? So process intelligence gives you that ability to look at that process as is in terms of how the transactions are happening. And why would companies need process intelligence? So if you are going through an acquisition, or you are just plain simply looking to optimize your process, or the bigger one, digital transformation. So if you really want to automate your business process, first you would like to know what exactly the activities I need to automate. The RPA is grown up, but you have to know exactly the business process, analyze it, and then make a decision to see which I can automate. Sometimes you may even figure out you may not even need that automation once you apply process intelligence into your business process. So that is process intelligence at a high level. And now, why it is, what kind of challenges it is addressing? You have seen this, today there is a business process that consists of spreading across vertical silos, right? It could be coming from your ERP systems, the CRM systems, and then your healthcare patients flowing in all the way. So various different systems you can actually combine together and look at the process in a holistic way. So that limited visibility today is a big prevalent problem in any big businesses or even small businesses that are looking to doing businesses like at their process at their core. And most processes are broken or inefficient. That we know that if they are very efficient, then world could have been a better place. But most of them are broken or inefficient. And then compliance. In any process, there is compliance. Two types of compliances. One in auditing kind of compliance, and then the process-related compliance. If you are talking about supply chain, you have the 3Ws compliance, how your orders are flowing in, making sure your orders are fulfilled and shipped properly to the destination, and then your inventory. So that is a compliance. All three of them has to match. So process mining can certainly help highlighting any compliance issues within your business process. And then we talked about a little bit about the digital transformation. So digital transformation, you have automation that's been happening for a long time, and it's still about close to 300 billion market today. So companies are more than ever are forced to automate several activities in their business process. And as mentioned, unless you look into your business process using a technology like process mining or process intelligence, then only then you'll be effectively automating your business process. So, and finally, a new approach that is needed to address all these business process related problems. What exactly we are giving for the business in terms of when you apply process intelligence? First, we'll give you a full discovery of the process. Map the process automatically. You don't have to do anything. I'm going to show it to the demo. And then any problems you have in your process, be it a rework, a maverick decision that happened, or it could be a wastage or rework, any of those can be easily highlighted using process intelligence. So the big question, it sounds really good, but what does it actually take for a company to use, install and implement process intelligence? It's really simple, actually. All these systems in the IoT are every device actually logging what exactly is happening in a business process. If you are looking at SAP ERP or Salesforce CRM, you have a very thorough digital footprints of events of what exactly is happening within that business process. Now, all process intelligence needs is just three fields to be effective. What those three fields? It is the case ID. In case of an order management, it would be simply an order ID. And then what kind of activity that order is going through in the pipeline of your business process. And then at what timestamp. Just those three fields are good enough for most process mining tools to be effective. The more elements of data, the other dimensions and metrics you expose will be useful to look at your business process in your various angles. Take, for example, mortgage loan processing. So you can look at your business process, how your loans are getting processed, where is bottlenecks are happening. But it's also important to look at, sometimes you want to look at your mortgage process, how much underwriter fee I'm paying. So that underwriter fee is an additional fee you can just give access to VIVE so that you can look at your business process in different angles. So it's very easy to implement. It often takes just days, at the maximum a few weeks, not months and years to implement. You can get the ROI immediately. So very easy to implement. And as for VIVE, we have 175 data sources. Yes. Yeah.
Go to your example a moment ago. You had about the mortgage underwriting. Most people I know in the financial services, these days they go crazy over people hacking into their systems. Right. What systems do you have in place to make sure that this information doesn't get exposed? If you get thousands of people applying for a mortgage, you got your income tax return, everything you need to phone their identity. What do you have to do to prevent that or keep that anonymous?
Right. Yeah. It's a great question. So the first end, we have to split that into several ways, right? First, if your mortgage company don't want the data be even moved outside the cloud, VIVE is both cloud and on-prem. First, you can install on-prem within your firewalls. Number two, we don't actually need any sensitive information to be effective to apply to the process. Even if so, ours is very security oriented, and meaning like there is a security out of box that actually restricts people from seeing only the data elements that you give access to. It could be at column level, actually it could be at data level itself. So you can simply say that these persons can see only jumbo loads. You can restrict that kind of access as well. So it comes with a very security module. It's a great question.
Thank you.
So in a business process, you will have various people looking at it. This business process, you have the executives, you have the line managers, you have the analysts looking at your Amazon online ordering process, making sure how I can even more effectively deliver the products when people order. So what VIVE does is VIVE have all the modules for all the personas within a company to address all their needs. It's just not only for analysts, it's for the executives as well. And there are some unique features VIVE gets in. VIVE process intelligence. Process intelligence for process mining itself is a relatively new technology. 10 years ago, nobody even knew about this technology. Originated in Europe, very few companies are there today operating process mining platforms. And there is an initiative to apply multi-dimensional process mining, and so far it has been in PhDs and academic levels. And VIVE is the first company to take process mining and apply it to multi-dimensional process mining. So what does that mean for you as a business? Your business processes, as they get more complex, you have various types of dimensions and metrics you need to look at your process files. And also you need to process millions of records. So with our algorithms, we can get a seconds response for hundreds of millions of transactions. So very unique in this process intelligence world. And then there's a lot more other features which I'm going to show during the demo. And one of the key slides is where can it be applied? It can be applied anywhere. One of the most important ones is if you see the RPA today, most of the RPA projects, 70% of them is not yielding the results that were intended. Why? Because, again, as mentioned before, is you don't even know whether it is the right way to write activities I need to automate. Only with process mining you can do that. Every magazine, Business Insider, Forbes, now has put process mining as one of the most sought after technologies during this COVID and going forward. So it's almost becoming like a mandatory to use process intelligence prior to your digital transformation journey. Okay, so I'm going to do a demo to put all this in context. I mean, the deck is all good, like this gives you an overview, but it's better to show a demo of how this whole process mining looks like and how it works. So what we have is a sample of the data that is consumed by VIVE during this demo. It is a order management process. This is the data at a high level looks like. And this came from 3 different systems: the ERP systems, the inventory management systems, supply chain, and then the e-commerce systems, where the orders are flowing in from their B2B business, and then how it is processed in the warehouse. So it's a business process of this online school and office supplies this company is selling, and how the orders are flowing through. And for us, as mentioned, we just need these basic 3 columns to be effective. The first ones, the blue ones, right? You can see that how the order coming from one system, order number, and the other systems are all over here. And we don't even having this order. We just need the access to those, and the tool will gather it automatically. And there are other dimensions and metrics we used for the demo. So from these simple digital events, this is what process mining is going to look like. So again, so this is how your process mapping looks like once we apply VIVE on that event data. So I'm going to explain in a minute, what exactly the tool is telling. There is nothing the company needs to provide about, what kind of correlations, what kind of relation sequence. The tool will do that. All the algorithms are all built in. So from that simple event log, once you move point VIVE to that, so what it is done is here at a high level, it processed about 80,000 events, which has about 10,000 unique orders. The total value of that order for that whole data set orders is about 23 million, and it costed about 3 million for this company to process these orders. Now, and here is your process map. The tool has taken all the data, and it knows at what levels and what kind of sequence all these orders are being processed. So let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit and to show you the whole process, how it looks like. So that is the whole process all the way starting from the start to the end. Now, so let us see what else we can get from this tool with this process map. So far you're all following how that simple digital data, the event data, got translated into this without any inputs from the company or input from the department to tell how the relations are, etc. The tool will decide and let you know everything. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm still not quite seeing though. So these might be transactions that are mixes of different customers, things like that.
Yes.
So I'm still not seeing without that additional context how you're relating things. They really seem to be discrete.
Yeah, that's a great one. So let me go ahead and explain the process. So now, we briefly touched about the high-level aggregates, and then on the right-hand side, it is also telling me what the fastest order is. It's 19 minutes, and more importantly, the slowest order that took 128 minutes. So we need to pay attention to that as a company owner. I'm going to drill down into that for more details in a few minutes. So to answer your question, so let's go ahead and look at this process. What exactly is this showing? So the platform said that it has seen 10,000 orders. So let's go back and see what the storyline is all about in this business process. And it started with 10,000 orders. And what we are seeing here is how the customers are logging into guest login and customer login, right? So the tool was able to figure it out. Now, as a company owner, I would be, or a stakeholder, what would be my immediate reaction? The immediate reaction, the moment I see this process map is, well, I'm a B2B company. I'm seeing 50% split between my guest logins and the loyal customers login. So I need to move some of my guest logins certainly to the customer logins. Coming here, and then people started browsing. The heat map is auto generated by the tool. What you are seeing is the darkest areas are the ones that are concentration of the orders going through, and the lightest one relative to the 100% of the orders. Now you can set your thresholds to set this much percentage is my red, green, yellow, etc. I can do that as well. That is the default. The tool has already given you a way to holistically look at it. So oh, this is my regular process. Everybody's coming here. Okay, then most of the orders are here. Coming down, you can concentrate on the lightest color to see rarely traversed activities. Now, and then coming down here, it also telling me that there are about 3 types of payments that happen. Again, the tool, if there is a new type of payment that happens yesterday and we process that one, the tool will automatically pick it up. You don't have to let the tool know anything about which kind of activities are happening. So if there is a new activity that comes up, it will automatically do it in real time. Right? So according to this data set, I'd be a very happy camper to see invoiced. But this company is also, we know that this company is paying a lot of money to PayPal. So to see that online payment about 2,500 orders, I need to cut some costs. Okay. Coming down, and this here, it is also telling me that there are about 4 warehouses, and very happy to see all my warehouses are taking the load almost equivalent. Every one of them is about 2,500. So it's something like it is telling you whole things from this data. Now, coming down here, and there is something that highlights here. There is order reprocessed, about 8 orders being reprocessed in lighter color. So as a business analyst, or the one looking at this business process of this data, I just want to see what exactly is why this is happening. Today it is because I'm interested in this one. Tomorrow there could be several other activities that you might be interested in. So what the tool does is it shows you these all those orders that are going through. By the way, there is about 124 variations, meaning all these 10,000 orders took different paths. 124 different types of paths before they completed. I can actually quickly show you a path, how it looks like for one of the orders. So this is the one order, how the path is in the highlighted color, you can clearly see. So you can actually literally track each order, how the path is happening. Okay. So let us go back to our use case of this order reprocessed. So what do you want to do? You're curious now, I have 8 orders that were came to this one. It could be a maverick thing that happened recently, and I need to address that. I need to find more details. What I can do is I'll simply click on this, and what it does is you are now getting into full DNA of that order. So it shows you in a tabular format exactly that particular order, how it is going through the various statuses, and all other fields that the tool has access to. It will show you who is the customer, and what kind of, now we have a subproduct of binders that's happened to be this order, and then any other customer name, everything that you decide to have your process look like, the tool will show you. So this is in a tabular format, and in reality your order might go through 50 steps or 100 steps. So a tabular format is good. So what the tool also gives you is a visual layout of the same table in a timeline chart, so that if you're a business analyst you can just simply look at your order process and shopping completed, here is invoiced, and then I can actually literally scroll for each of those and focus on the largest gaps or any area you are interested in. So quickly tells me oh, here, this is from the warehouse, it processed from Atlanta. There is a huge gap to order reprocessed. Here is the 32 minutes elapsed. So this is you can quickly identify or focus your areas. What we did so far, we looked at the process, and then we narrowed down on a particular activity which can be a concern depending on that data as of that day, and then drill down into those one particular order to see what kind of additional details I can extract. So I'm not going to click through all of these 8 orders, but be assured that out of these 8, there are 5 of them coming from the binders. Oh, this is a real data we masked, so there is a reason for this, why this only happened for binders, and how automation can come in play into a picture. Now there is a lot of other things you can do. Let's go ahead and see what additional things I can. Now I want to find out. You're probably the company knows there is a problem from the traditional BI, but how and why? What could be the pattern or anything additional information I can get? What I can do is I can take few orders and then select them, and then trace their path. Okay. So this is the tool automatically gives you 3 different colors of those orders. Now, why this is critical, right? Now you can find is there a particular person or somebody sitting on this particular set of orders that is actually the reason for this whole thing happened. So this path tracing is very, very critical for you to identify any root cause, because none of the traditional way of looking at analytics will give you this answer, right? So you see the true power of how you can actually trace and literally find out where the problem is, and then find the pattern, right? Who is that person? Who could be the culprit, right? So let me go ahead and change this to some straight lines, and you can change it on the fly. This is your preference, right? So you simply can click it anytime to any number of your orders, and then like it will show you that. So for more visibility, and just change the icons and put it to straight lines instead of arrows. Now, so this is so far we looked at this by the number of orders. Go ahead. Yeah.
So you can drill down to see that the problem is with picking or packing or
Yes.
warehouse in Atlanta, or do you drill down and say it's Susie?
Yes.
Tim is the problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Both?
Yes, both.
Okay.
Yeah. What process mining is like, most of the time, what it does is like, you don't know until you apply process mining. There could be several ways like, your problem is happening. And what the tool does is like, it has a huge set of abilities to use your filters. And you can say that like, remember I mentioned like, can I look at my mortgage loan processing by the underwriter fee? What the tool does is like, you can just like simply use that as a filter, one of your metrics. And then say like, show me where I'm paying so much commission for this particular order. So the once you apply VIVE, and then like, the next step is like, how do you narrow it down to the problem really quick, and then find out like where the problem is, and drill down and try to find the pattern of problems. Now you can decide like, what do you want to do to fix this problem. So yeah, great question. And now like, this is we talked about so far about yeah, go ahead.
In your example, could this process be used in something more mundane, such as in a government office, processing car titles, driver's license, things like that? I think of like Collin County, the tax assessor does per job. His crew does triple the volume per employee of anybody else that's on average in the state of Texas, 254 counties.
Yes.
Could this process be used, say a big county, Dallas, Harris County, Travis?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The question is like, well, this process can be applied to a specific process like driver's license approval process, or any government-related like process. Absolutely. I really wish like we could have applied this to our SBA loans so that we could have caught a lot of stuff. I swear, like really, we thought like if only we knew that like that they're going to release $1 trillion. If only we applied, we could have known how the loans are going through different. First, like SBA, they tried to process the loans. I don't know where any of you applied, right? So they tried to process the loan themselves and realized like okay, this is too much. Let me give it back to the banks. But like how did they do is they automatically knew when I applied for SBA that like I'm a Chase bank, and then like Chase replied me saying that like now I'm handling your loan, right? I thought it was great, but like somewhere in this process is like there's delays, and then like huge. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. Like did you already apply for SBA loan? Then like are you eligible to reapply over here? Is that application even valid? So all these things, if you put it into perspective of activities for each loan going through, we could have applied process mining and could have told this process has been flawed. It could have been better. We could have easily caught like some of the problems.
I was going to say, Kumar, if I can just kind of piggyback on Tony's question, and yeah, fantastic example and use case that he just laid out there. So really one of the ways to think about this is a process is just something going through a series of steps, right? So it could be all the things he's suggested. It could be something moving through an assembly. It could be fluids moving through a refinery, going from step to step to step, or a petrochemical plant. So that's kind of how you really want to think about it, a process. That's all it really is. And so once you start thinking about it like that, then you start looking across all manner of industries of potential applications for something like this. And so what we're doing is we stare at the data. Our application stares at the data and does a process discovery. And so all it does is says, I see something, and I see this something is going through a bunch of things that have timestamps on it. This must be a process. And so now it can automatically map it. Then it says, I see more data, and it's not going down this identical path, but it's going down similar paths. And now it starts to build that map out further, and you get more and more decisions. And then from there, it can hand it on to an RPA tool to do the automation.
So what is, I'm sorry, because what I'm missing in this thing is what was this tool fed with in the first place?
Yeah, so go ahead, just data of any process.
So the process is already mapped.
No, the process is already existing in data, right? You're already tracking your process. You already have a bunch of data with a bunch of timestamps of something going through, and now the tool can look at it and it can discover that process. And once it discovers it, now it can automatically map it, and so the tool discovers and processes and creates a map and builds out the map.
So I have a similar question, because what we see commonly now is structured versus less structured data.
Yeah.
And so data ingest and data mapping becomes critical. It's a pre-processing element, usually before these types of tools. So what I commonly see is, we used to have a lot of time series, tabular, or CSV data. Now we are starting to see less structured data as it moves to JSON format and APIs, etc. So now we're getting into multi-link dimensional arrays. So does your tool have some sort of pre-processing or ingest element? I think, is that where you related?
Yeah, I mean, because right now you're just going to key off the order, or at least from that table you showed, I would just key off the order number in that process. So once I have that, I've got a key that basically allows me to map the process. When I'm dealing with stuff that's either more manual or you're actually doing more advanced version.
Yeah.
How do I actually collect that and sit there with that term? That's what I'm trying to wrap my head.
This data ingest is complicated.
Great question. So let me revert back to this diagram. So the simplest one, to answer your question, where is the mapping happening, right? Take the Salesforce or HubSpot. We're all entrepreneurs. We are dealing with leads, the lead generation process, and how they're ending up in the lead to cash process. Now, you're entering your data, the lead, and then it became a prospect or vice versa. And then it is in a demo stage, and then what are you offering in your which product you are offering, and then which salesperson has initiated the meeting, and then went to the demo, and then goes to the next stage, and so on. So this data exists in your CRM system, right? So it is actually now you have hundreds of leads you bought, and then started working on that, but you have no clear visibility into how you are being successful. You are being successful because at the end of the day you're in business. But what contributed to the success? Once you apply, you take those logs from your Salesforce where this lead is in this stage, which is there already. It could be JSON, for us it doesn't matter. The tool can take it from XML, JSON, Hadoop, any of those it will take. And then now you use the process map. Now you can look at it and see oh, when I am this California region, my salesperson seems to have 80% coverage. This is where I'm being. Or some person is or she doing a lot of business, but these are all low profit orders. Now you can make a decision, right? Your cost of acquisition is very high. So those things can be easily highlighted from that data. Did I answer your question? Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, there are some precursor steps here, and there are some presumptions that you've got going into it. So that's kind of what I needed to understand.
Yeah. I can address that after the demo, and yeah.
Given all this stuff, who's the profile of your ideal prospect for this your type of services? It sounds like it applies to virtually any industry.
Yeah, it applies to any industry. Yeah. Most of the time, we normally go and present to the stakeholders of that, owner of that, when we're trying to optimize the process. In your case of a financial world in fintech, we'll be presenting to the chief auditor to see, are you even compliant? If you're auditing a company towards a financial process, you have the checks and balances. And then going through this, how compliant you are in this whole compliance process, and then figuring it out where the problem is. So
but how big or how small a company do you have to be your customer?
Beautiful question. Now, yeah, every company that is big has multiple processes, right? They have the ERP systems. We are actually working with a small ERP company. This is an alternative for SAP for small and mid-sized businesses. What we found out is very interesting. These small companies are in as much need as the big companies. So this company is particularly, I think I can say that, like, I mean, they are simply in the business of sharpening their saw blades in Texas. Saw blades, industrial saw blades, the ones that cut the trees, right? So this is a discrete process for them, meaning depending on the type of the saw, they have to get like different kind of material, different kind of process to make the saw sharpen and send it back to their clients. Now, this company, if they don't deliver in time, they can get penalized and actually losing money. So all they're looking for is, tell me in my process, I handled so many number of thousands of saws in the last year. Tell me, like me, what would be the reason for me to get kind of penalized? So for small businesses, it's very critical actually. For them, that's the whole process, business process itself becomes a process for us. Yeah.
So is your typical engagement like is it finite? Is it kind of like an E&Y or something where you jump in there with your tool and you solve a problem and then go away? Or do you approach it where it just maintains and goes on forever? Right? I mean,
Great.
Awesome. Of course, I know what you want.
Yeah. Awesome question. Yeah, that's good. That's great. Like, I mean, it's not a one-time use. So though we offer that service, is like, I mean, what we call as a blueprint. If you don't even know what exactly is happening in your process, we can come in and then, like, at the very minimum, I'm going to give you a blueprint of your process. But yeah, it is very important for companies to continuously monitor. There are a lot of alerts and built-in systems that can actually alert you.
So you would leave, and then maybe you just leave the software instance.
Yeah, for them to keep monitoring. It's self-service.
You kind of teach them how to do things.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this comes in from online from Bob. He
Yeah.
says, I'm perceiving the tool as turning any observable event into an event-driven process view, regardless of how the event was generated. That is, regardless if it was part of a tightly coupled, loosely coupled, or even perhaps manual flow steps. So he wants to know if that's kind of how it works.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to show you, like, I mean, even if there is a partial order, so the tool will capture that. It went to a particular activity, and then, like, me, went all the way to got out of it and finished without going into any of those. So even that data can be caught using this process mining.
And also, Russ, kind of to your question, if you recall, kind of early on in the video, it talked about continually monitoring and improving on the process. As we build out some more of the AI capabilities, this will be a tool that will then continually watch your process and say, hey, here's some areas that you can be tweaking this, or because as you look at these steps, we can actually digital twin this out and say, okay, well, because you see the numbers as we're kind of going down. Well, we can look and tell you, okay, well, here's the revenue at each step, or here's the cost at each step, or here's the time at each step. And now you can digital twin it and say, okay, well, show me the path with the most optimized shipping balance of how many days versus the cost. Show me the path for least time. Show me the path to best quality, right? Where am I taking my yield hit if I'm a semiconductor or something like that? Where's my time hit taken? Where's my lowest cost path, my lowest time path? So all manner of things you can now start to game out once you have all of those metrics.
And they can kind of do this on their own, Bill, but
Yes.
Do it on their own.
Yeah.
So following up on his question, is your model going to kind of software as a service, I guess? He's selling your process, your software. Because there's some guys, they're head of IT, right as he is. He doesn't know your process, your software. You follow up with them and you charge them, you pay them, or how do you offer?
Yeah, so there's always a services component to any annual software release. So it's your standard annual software release. It needs to be supported, right? So a lot of that is going to come from us. As we build out the partners, right, because a lot of the bigger corporations, well, just about any company, also has, their EY or their Deloitte or whomever that they deal with. And as we're, kind of grow out that partner base, they start to step in and start to become part of the education process.
You might want to touch upon the Microsoft Co-Sell.
Yeah, that's actually been a big thing. This is actually my third company that I'm thinking of, doing Microsoft Co-Sell. And what that does for us, and we are now Co-Sell certified, have been for a little while now. And what Microsoft Co-Sell does for you is it allows you to work with their industry solutions team. And having done this 3 times, I've gotten to know a number of the folks on this team. So manufacturing solutions, energy solutions, automotive solutions, and they have a solutions team for pretty much any industry vertical, right? Healthcare, financial, retail, et cetera. And so we're part of that program. And it starts to become kind of a push-pull, right? Where we will engage with a customer, and we've got, we're talking with one of the big box retailers right now on exactly this sort of stuff, because what they found out as COVID broke was that they got in and they were absolutely convinced that their processes were all bulletproof, and COVID showed them they weren't. And so now they look and said, okay, well, your tool gives us visibility that we don't have. If I've got, and I've got, thousands of suppliers, and I've got millions of SKUs, and I can't stay on top of every one of them, even with an ERP. And so all of a sudden, some of these start having long lead times and are on back order and things like that, which a lot, early on, right, the toilet paper and everything was wiped out, right? I need to know that early on, because if I can find that out early in the quarter that, hey, this 3-day lead time just jumped to a 2-week lead time, now I can get on top of it and I can fix it by the end of the quarter, because if I don't fix it by the end of the quarter, I don't make my quarter. And so things of that nature. But anyway, so as we get involved with companies like that, then we go to Microsoft and we tell the customer, hey, we're dealing with this company. If the Microsoft account team wants to be engaged, we tell the company, hey, if you want, Microsoft can engage with us and have a 3-way conversation. And then we go to Microsoft, hey, do you want to engage? And then as they start seeing us bringing more and more use cases to them, then they look, especially on an industry, and say, hey, look what you did at this particular automotive company. Let's start putting you in front of a whole bunch of them. So it starts to become.
So yeah, I'll address that manual also. There is a ability to map out and add your manual steps as well. I'll also show you that. That's very critical. Great question from Rachel. So yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm definitely not an ERP expert, but it seems like a really solid ERP would either be doing this or they would strive to do this.
Yeah, and if they weren't the big box, they would have told us. Yeah, that wasn't a problem. But it's apparently there are things in there that they don't have all the visibility that you would expect.
Yeah. So you can imagine ERP tools are very powerful. There is a lot of managing your whole process, but not exactly telling you what exactly is happening in your process, right? So take, for example, like when you define your process in your CRM or your ERP, defining this is the workflow it's supposed to go. Now, what is the guarantee that like all of your 100% of your orders are going through that particular process? Like in this case, we saw, there's so many variations. First of all, knowing that, 50% of them following a particular path, or are they going through this one, or they're getting stuck in certain way. So it is all, when you apply the data-driven looking at the process, these are the insights you are going to extract, which the ERP will not tell you. Yeah, they're making efforts, but what they're doing is they're actually partnering with companies like us, because that's a totally different way of looking at it. And the other thing we bring in is, now you might have 2 ERP systems, one in Oracle and one in SAP, right? So it's how do you combine those? You got through acquisition, right? So this is the best way to do it. Is we bring in those, put in one place these 2. As long as there is some correlation between those, the tool will figure it out, and then from that point, what was it? Yeah, good question. So Yeah, there are a lot of functionality, but like, I'll just show you highlights. Like, as Bill was mentioned, this is one of the key ones. Like, so far we talked about like how the orders flow and like, going over here. And what I did is like, I launched it like, show me my process by my costs, right? So there is a cost element, like, for each one of those. For example, I'm paying GoDaddy 10 cents for transactions. I can, the tool will know that, and you can modify it. If it is more, you can use the configuration. But once it does, like, what you are looking at is like, your process by your costs, right? So you can look at by the how much it is costing you at each activity level. So here, like, it's telling me, like, I'm spending a lot of money on same day and first class, right? So this is a B2B company, should be, I think, like, they're in the last minute doing this. The companies are not paying for shipping, so there is a lot of money being spent. So this company should be taking, need to reduce so in their same day and first class shipping. So these are the things like where it will highlight when you are looking at by cost. Let me show you, like, how the same process looks by profit. There is an interesting metric that we can show. So now, like, this is like, all you need to do is like simply, you can look at your process by various average process time. For example, I can just click on it and shows by the average time it is taking for each one, by total time. You can look at it in several ways. Most importantly, let us look at by the profit, right? Like everybody is interested in it. So I'm looking at my process by now by profit margin for the orders. Each order has profit calculated, right? So let's see, like, remember in the beginning I mentioned, like, this company should be very happy to see all the orders, like, processed by their warehouses equally distributed, right? The load is distributed equally. If I'm the company COO, I'm very happy to see that. But if you see, like, what exactly is happening over here, I have, like, about 2,500 roughly between the Atlanta over here. The profit margin is $46,000, and for Pittsburgh is 88, and then, like, Seattle it's like 62, and Dallas is 87. Now, it is, what does it has to do with the number of orders? No, it has to do with the type of orders that are going through your Atlanta. Those are all the low profit orders. Now you know very well your Atlanta is not being effective. So now you can make a decision even to shut it down or cut down your costs. So this is very, very critical to look at your process, not just by the transactions going through, but various metrics like the profits or like your commissions, your order amounts, or any of those. So that is one of the key features this tool offers, is like your ability to look at your process in various angles. So far, you followed the how you can look the process by profit or any other metrics also to have more meaningful insights out of it. Okay? So this is there's a lot more involved, but I can just also touch upon one of the key important ones, right? Like, what about the executives? Do we have something like that the executives can spend only a few minutes or few seconds to get the information? This is a dashboard. Again, VIVE has got a dashboarding engine. This dashboard is created in 5 minutes. You can add any such kind of dashboards to your process in few minutes without any of our help intervention. So this is a dashboard like the default that comes for this process. And what the executives can quickly tell is what exactly is happening in my process. This dashboard is different from your traditional analytical aggregate dashboards. This is actually on the process data. So at a high level, like it is telling me again like the health of my process, what's the fastest one, etc. And then more importantly here is like how many orders met my SLA. So what is an SLA? The tool by default moved all the orders that were below your average on the data set to an SLA. You can change the threshold, whatever you can decide. Using its settings and say like my SLA is 40 minutes, then like it will recalculate immediately. Now, also it also tells you how much you are under the water, the orders that were not met in the SLA. For the executive, like it's roughly split between 50% because of the average. But look at the cost. How much? Like it's huge. So where is the distribution happening? Down here, it is also giving in a grid format, like how many orders were processed that took 100 minutes or more, which is about 4. Okay. So, and then like coming here, the fastest one, there is only one fast one, and then like where is the distribution? So most of my orders are over here, which is above average, and this is something as an executive I need to make a decision. That is what it is contributing to the $178,000 of my costs. So this is an executive dashboard, and these dashboards you can again, like these are all tied up. Like you can click on each one, and then like further going to that filter to the process mining, it will launch that filter automatically. So this is just giving you like how an executive can look at the health of the process, as well as like the analyst can drill down to the actual process or here, right? So and then like there is one more feature I'll show you, and before then I jump into some IoT data as well. Very great feature now. Like say like you look at your process, you don't even have a documentation of the process. The manual, I have some manual steps involved, and what do you want to do? So if process mining is not there, what the companies does is like they ask the big companies to come and say like evaluate my process and give me a map of that process. Now you are looking at the people coming in, consultants coming and interviewing each process owner, and also looking at your ERP or the CRM systems, trying to figure out like the workflow. This is a months and months, right? So what the tool can do is, we started the event log and we gave you insights into the process, and also we give you the ability to document this whole process. By simply, you can add your filters and select like say this is I decide as a company that like this looks as close to my good process. So I simply need to say that like export it to a VPMN model. And you can select any of those and save any of those. What this is, now this is giving you a BPMN model for you, where you can go ahead and add your manual steps. For example, I can add any of those and then document, keep it for my training or for like as a template for my next process or next acquisition. So you are already getting a documentation of your whole process. So there are controls here, comprehensive controls. I could just add any of those controls and simply change it or add further events, any of those, right? So I can just add a sub-process, a business rule, or any of those controls, and then like further modify that. So what we are giving is, from a simple event log, like now you are looking at a process in various in terms of bottlenecks, any rework that might have happened, automation candidates, and then now we also have it documentation. This can be exported to a BPMN 2.0. That means like the Abians and Pegas can consume this as well. So this is very critical for small businesses. I think you asked like they don't even have any documentation. So we are pretty much eliminating a lot of months of work. This is not a complete business process, but like this gives you a starting point, and you simply can add your manual events or the decision making here and create a good process now. What you desire or what you want it to be or what you want the template to be. So the tool comes with this functionality as well that can take the data and give you this diagram as well. Any questions? So yeah, there's a lot more other functionalities which we can touch later if you all want a more customized demo, and you have any questions, we can do that. So what we also did is, yeah, go ahead.
We had one from online from Bob. He goes, I'm curious if Abia has thought about making their capability available as a plugin on other platforms, such as Blue Prism's approach for event process flow definition and management. And it goes on to say, that is not only being able to mine and visualize events, but being able to plug into a system that Abia could create events on observed triggers to actually be a part of a larger robotic automated loosely coupled process.
Great question. Thanks, Bob. So first, like we are in the process of getting technology alliance partnership with Blue Prism. So now the mitigation measures, once you find, like how do you call a Blue Prism? Actually, we have the capability to automatically say, like I found out there is a problem, and as a company I built a automation RPA bot using Blue Prism or Power Automate from Microsoft, and the tool has the capability to consume it directly. So I'll just show it to you how you can do it from a dashboard. and then show that how you can even call a Blue Prism object. I'll just launch one of the same dashboards. You can embed this from anywhere your process you desire. So here now, it's the similar dashboard what we have, and in this dashboard, I'm going to simply say I want to launch because I found out a problem with Atlanta where it is having a lot of average time per process as a company where I just want to put a stop to this and let me see whether I can move it to the other warehouses. So this bot is already built in using Blue Prism, and so what it does is it takes dynamically that data of warehouse and sends it to the Blue Prism widget. If I do that, it's going to launch a Blue Prism widget. So we do have the capability to launch, or integrate any of these automation objects within your process, within your dashboard, or anywhere within VIVE. So it's going to send me a report in an email. I'm going to show that in a minute once I get it. So hopefully I answered Bob's question that how you can even launch a Blue Prism widget or UiPath or automation anyway. So it's a data-driven one. That's a great question. Remember, a company can build a bot that can do the same. The question is why process mining might come into picture. Imagine, this is the same case we are dealing with. The Atlanta is very slow right now. Well, it could be if there is a bot that was built automatically, it sees an average of 50 minutes, go ahead and move it to the other warehouses. The problem with that is there could be a genuine reason. It could be a snowstorm that stopped me temporarily from this one, or couple of my employees got hit with COVID. So at this time, I really don't want the bot to automatically do that. So what we are putting is the power back to the business owner. They can invoke this object on demand as needed, but integrated with your process. So this is one way. And what I also want to show you is we're able to somehow find IoT data from this University of California, Irvine. It's a little bit of a dry use case, but we did our best to see what we can do to apply process mining to this. So what this data set is, they strap the IoT devices on the mouse clicks of the the computers and all, track how students are trying to learn a particular training, which has both the reading the chapter and taking a test, and how they are behaving in general. So it's a little bit interesting data set, but at the same time dry. So the data set looks like this. I think you all IoT can relate with this, right? This kind of data you have seen. So it's basically what is the student ID, what session, and they are what kind of activities they are doing. All our web-based, their equivalent of their internet web, and then what they are doing and how many mouse clicks and all. So can we apply process mining to see how the student sessions are happening? Absolutely yes. So we did, and here's what it looks like. So this is at a 100% level. All the students and all the sessions, about 100K events captured by the IoT devices and 520 sessions across 94 students, 6 sessions each, right? So this is how the whole thing looks like, right? But how they are actually going through each one. Let me just try to zoom in little bit, and you see here is some 12 hits to games, and then Facebook over here. So high level, but let's go ahead and see at some of the students' levels, by simply clicking on filters. You can add your filters on the fly. This is the true power. So I'll try to finish it up really quick. So I'll just simply select one of the students at random and see how the process looks like. So this is one student. I can actually filter it by the gender, age group, education level, and try to find a pattern. But at a high level, this is what it is looking like. And I can zoom in and see what the effectiveness, whether this person is, how many times they using the Microsoft Word, and 2 times coming down, like Notepad, when to use. So you can find quickly a lot of patterns, what that person is doing. So this is how, you can also apply in a simple IoT use cases as well.
So when you start looking at some of this and seeing, sort of this spaghetti, if you will, of vectors running every which way, you start to see that a lot of processes get really complicated really quickly, which starts to kind of drive back to your question of, well, how does an ERP system miss this? It's because ERP systems aren't designed to look at processes; they're designed at other. And so a couple of the features that we've rolled in, when you look at the market leaders in this space, we've been around, we've been doing this for a little while. They build all of their stuff on XML, which is a really great approach. But the problem is it has inherent latencies to it. And so what sort of the vision that Kumar and his architects put together on this was to hit the database directly. And so that's brought us big boost in big reduction in latency, as well as a big increase in power. And then on top of that, they rolled in this multidimensional processing approach, the cube approach. So the way you can kind of think of that is when you think about any kind of a database or data warehouse or data lake, as these things sort of escalate bigger and more global, international, global in their structure, those are traditionally just two-dimensional repositories of data, right? Rows and columns. And so what we're doing is we're looking at it and saying, now let's start looking at this in multiple dimensions, multiple degrees of freedom, because a lot of these records in the database, in your data lake, have interdependencies with other records. And so now we can start to draw vectors, if you will, of those interdependencies, and start doing what's called multidimensional processing, as opposed to everything lined up in a row. So now, as a result of that, you can start to think of it more as a nuclear reaction in critical mass, as opposed to all the data lined up and going through the microprocessor, going through the processor in a row. It's more of almost sort of a distributed network compute approach, and much more of lots of processing going on all at once. And so the net of that results out is that we're able to process hundreds of millions of records in seconds. And so now we can handle far more complex processes, vast data lakes, global international data lakes across the globe, with large numbers of variables, where a lot of the applications doing RPA or doing process mining on the scene right now would just sit and spin and limit out. And anytime you see that spin going, you don't know, is it stuck or is it processing, and eventually it's going to get there. And we don't run into that because of the power we're bringing through the multidimensional processing and this whole n dimensions.
So you're not taking, you said reading the database. You're not taking, you're operating on the data in place.
Yeah, we're going straight to it. Do you want to expand on that?
You're not storing, if somebody signs up with you, you're not storing their data.
No, we're not storing it off somewhere. We just go straight to it.
Yeah. And then there's various ways for you to, it's going to be API or to do that.
Yeah, and in fact, you kind of showed the link of all the 170 whatever APIs we've got to access various applications directly and access their data directly, as opposed to trying to suck it in. Then
so you're completely, they have to have the data that you need.
There needs to be somewhere, yeah. It could be in the cloud, it could be on-prem.
Suppose there could be an instance where you go back to them and say, hey, in order to get the results that you really, really need, you need to store this data for longer, or you need to change your approach a little bit?
Sure, it could give you that sort of clarification of hey, here's some things that are missing. Here's some holes.
Yeah, it depends on your scope. If you really want to go for 1 year of just to check how your process is, you can just do that. And then, like, if there is any data quality issues, like it's missing some data elements, it will highlight. So you will do immediately. Or when the process seems to be incomplete, you can say, like, I need to capture that data as well.
All right. So if you want to wrap up, is that?
Yeah, I just want to take any more questions than, like, there are a lot more features, like, we don't have to cover everything, but what I want to see is, like, just this very good interactive section and take more of the questions. So that's pretty much like at a high level, but I would rather expand and more if I will have time. Or
All right, great. So we're going to let the folks that are online, let Gary Ramsey take over, and he'll carry on our discussion, and we'll experiment and see how well we can engage the online community with his stuff. So take it away, Gary. Hopefully you'll be able to do that. In the meantime, we have the room till 9, but we need to be out of the room at 9:30 because they have another meeting coming up here later. So we can network in the common room area out there. So we'll wrap up for now. Thank you guys very much for coming today and presenting. And we'll make a copy, or we'll edit this and put it out on the YouTube and send you the link here so you can share it with people. So hopefully we'll be able to learn more watching this again and again. This was very interesting and a lot of information to absorb. Next month, we're going to have AT&T come and speak about the 5G and how it's going to enable IoT use cases. And so we can have 35 people in this room. We had 20 so today. And so if you're in the area, this is in the heart of Richardson, the telecom corridor, easy to get off of 75, get on to Campbell, and come up in Greenville a couple of blocks. So come join us next month. So with that, we'll close now, and we can network and talk, and then we'll move to the common room here at 9:30. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.